I'm proud to announce my choice for two key members of my national security team. Chuck Hagel for Secretary of Defense and John Brennan for Director of the Central Intelligence Agency.
I'm also grateful for an opportunity to help continue to strengthen our country and strengthen our country's alliances and advance global freedom, decency, and humanity as we help build a better world for all mankind. I will always do my best.
If confirmed as director, I will make it my mission to ensure that the CIA has the tools it needs to keep our nation safe and that its work always reflects the liberties, the freedoms, and the values that we hold so dear.
Certainly we'll give him an opportunity to explain himself at a fair and full hearing, but there's already been bipartisan concerns expressed, I'm one of them, about his position on Iran getting a nuclear weapon, on direct face-to-face negotiations with state-sponsored terrorist organizations like Hamas, and his big questions about his commitment to supporting our principal ally in the Middle East, namely the State of Israel.
Look, when Obama made the case today for Hagel, he twice stressed the fact that he's a patriot, he fought for his country, was wounded, which is absolutely true and admirable. But the implication is, and Obama not only hinted at this, but he made the case, therefore somebody who is in the field, somebody who knows about the pain of war, will exercise superior wisdom when it comes to making decisions about war and peace. Well, that proposition can be tested by the history of Chuck Hagel. What were the most important decisions he had to make as a senator? On the Iraq War, he's reported to have been an opponent of the war. Well, sure, after the war went bad and public opinion had turned against it. But on the crucial decision of launching the war, at a time when the future is indeterminate, at a time where information is necessarily still incomplete, he voted to go to war. And then when he had the second most important decision on the surge, which saved the war and created the conditions where where we could leave Iraq as with a democratically elected, geopolitically neutral and non-belligerent state, he not only, as you showed, was against it, he led the fight against it, and he said it was morally, tactically, strategically, militarily wrong. So on the big decisions of the last decade, which he had to exercise as senator, he got it wrong by his own likes on every single count.
As we have done here, we've taken a lot of time on the Hagel nomination. The Brennan nomination is up too, and there'll be a lot of tough questions there. Bottom line, do both of them get through?
Brennan will get a bye, and Hagel, I think, probably in the end, the Senate will defer to the president, but it will be a Donnybrook.
The tax issue is finished, over, completed. That's behind us. Now the question is, what are we going to do about the biggest problem confronting our country and our future, and that's our spending addiction.
Are you then saying to the upper classes, get ready, you're going to have to pay some more? This is not the end of it?
Well, I'm saying that's not off the table.
That's not off the table.
That's not off the table. But not in terms of tax rates.
You're
but in
talking
terms
about
of other considerations,
other things,
and the rest.
What would be some of the things that you think on the upper income people? What kind of deductions are you talking about?
As I said, I'm not going into particular. Put it all on the table and see what is working.
In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, House Speaker John Boehner said some interesting things, among them this, quote, at one point several weeks ago, the speaker said, the president said to me, we don't have a spending problem. But, Mr. President, we have a very serious spending problem. The speaker repeated this message so often, he says, that toward the end of the negotiations, the president became irritated and said, quote, I'm getting tired of hearing you say that. What I should have done, the speaker continued, the day after the election was to come out and say the House has done its work. The House passed a bill and that replaced the sequester with real spending cuts. The House passed a plan extending all of the current tax rates. We passed a budget. We call upon the Senate to do their work.
Well, we heard Pelosi with apologies to John Paul Jones, which she and the president said last week is we have not yet begun to tax and to spend. And that they've been open about this. As she said, she said, well, we got you on rates, that's round one. Round two is going to squeeze the money out of you by eliminating deductions and loopholes. Look, it seems to me with the Boehner interview that the Republican leadership is finally beginning to understand what some of us have been arguing now for 4 years. Barack Obama has zero interest in cutting spending. Churchill once said, I did not become the king's first minister to preside over the liquidation of the British Empire. Obama saying, I did not become President of the United States to preside over the liquidation of the welfare state or the contraction of it. And we saw it in his actions. The biggest expansion of entitlements with Obamacare, the biggest spending bill in American history with the stimulus, and now what we saw with the fiscal cliff negotiations. And now we have it. It isn't just in deeds, but in words. What he said to the speaker, we're not interested in spending cuts, because spending is not the problem.
This has been a Sunfish production.